The Insurance Professor with Lessons from Miss Charlotte. I used to work for the largest life insurance wholesaler in the country. I was one of their directors and spent 6 years there working with agents and learning what happens behind the curtain in the life insurance business. Early in my career there, I called on Miss Charlotte, not her real name by the way. She was the owner of a small insurance agency in North Carolina. The first time I met her, I was in her town for another meeting. I noticed her sign and decided to just drop in and introduce myself. When I say small agency, I mean that it was just her and one employee in a single room of an old brick office building. On her office door was a fake plastic clock to show when you'll be back from lunch and a laminated piece of paper that said late payments were subject to a $15 fee. I knocked, hesitated for a second, and walked in. As I began telling her who I was, she stopped me to insist that I sit down. She was a little white-haired lady in her mid-60s. In her 20 by 20 office, she was surrounded by 70s-era furniture and about a dozen tall file cabinets with plants on top of them. On her faux wood desk was a computer, 2 old office phones, a big candy dish, and a mess of paperwork. I had intended to try to get her guard down enough to have a 10-minute conversation. This is where I would see if it was worth setting another meeting for a longer time. The end goal would have been to bring her on as a wholesale client. I had done this many times before. But I barely got my name out before she started firing questions at me. She was very charming and could probably have been an extra on the movie Steel Magnolias. I didn't have anywhere to be for a while, so I indulged her. She had a very curious mind. She asked things about where I was from, where I went to college, things about my family and my career. Her questions were very engaging and she listened actively. She couldn't wait to hear my next answer. She asked interesting follow-up questions that really made me have to think. It seemed like she couldn't wait to get to know me. While I was there, people trickled in to pay premium and ask questions. She insisted that I keep my seat, though she could tell that I felt like I was in the way in her tiny office. She knew personal things about all the people who came in. She asked specifically about their family members and businesses. It was like they were all very good friends. It went on like that for about 30 minutes before I finally got a chance to get some information from her. So I started asking questions about her business. She was happy to tell me all about it, and her business wasn't that old. She started it from scratch and had been doing it for about 15 years. She was smart too, disarmingly smart. She must have passed this down as well because 2 of her 3 children were doctors and the other was a lawyer. About an hour in, I got into questions about her client base. Well, it turned out she had all those tall file cabinets because they were full of thousands of client files. Since I was now very curious and I didn't think it would offend her, I asked her how much money her business was bringing in. Whispering through a little grin, she told me a number that was well over $500,000. At the time, I was almost stunned given where I was sitting. About 10 years have passed since I first met her. Miss Charlotte now is spending most of her time with her grandkids. Looking back, I know why she was so successful. In a word, curiosity. Miss Charlotte was an insurance product genius because she wasn't happy until she knew everything about the way her insurance products worked. She questioned the carrier reps, read the policies, and rooted out important information. She also was a social genius. She genuinely wanted to know people, but she also knew where this would lead. She spent time learning about everyone she came in contact with. Then she just matched the person with the product and asked for the business. Unfortunately, I'll never have her charm, but curiosity is working out well for the insurance professor.